Welcome inside the Broncos studio. I'm your host and team reporter, Elisa Hernandez, next to our lead writer on DenverBroncos.com, Aric DiLalla. Day 7, we saw the Broncos back in full pads doing some work with the 2-minute drills, and the defense really had a good day. What stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I think the main thing is that for the first time, the defense forced a turnover, and obviously we know how good last year Bo Nix was at avoiding interceptions, avoiding turnovers, especially after those first 3, 4, 5 weeks of the season. But the Broncos got him a couple of times on this Friday practice. In particular, Talanoa Hufanga, who came over from the 49ers, kind of that prized veteran safety addition. He made a remarkable play. It was kind of a read option play, and Hufanga was kind of crouched down, almost hidden behind the line of scrimmage, and then to be able to go vertical the way he did and kind of fire up and grab that ball. Sean Payton said after practice he couldn't wait to go inside and watch the film because it was just a spectacular play. It was one of those you can't fault the quarterback too much. You just kind of have to tip your cap to the defense. Pat Surtain got one as well, his first of training camp, as he made a nice play. And you heard Sean Payton kind of equate these to different plays that you've seen in the past. I think he pointed out a Derek Stingley interception from a couple of years ago against Houston, some impressive recall there to be able to say, well, that's what this play was like, and that's what you might face in the future. So the defense played well, challenged the offense. There were some moments early on where maybe a few penalties offensively, and Sean Payton talked about that. And you know, they kind of got those cleaned up, I thought, as practice went along. But he also said he puts it on the quarterbacks as well to make sure that guys in the huddle know what they're doing, are ready to go. So that's kind of big picture takeaways.
Yeah, and head coach Sean Payton mentioned that there are certain players that the ball just kind of comes to them, and Talanoa Hufanga is one of them, and you really can't hide those football instincts. You can't be really good at that position unless you have that. So I think that was really high praise coming from him. And after Pat Surtain got the interception, you just saw Huff run up to him and kind of like just joke around and be really excited for his team. And you love to see that camaraderie building. And I know today they really worked on that 2-minute drills. What kind of focus did you see from the guys on there?
Yeah, they're going to do a lot of this, right? We know that Sean Payton focuses on situational football. We mentioned it yesterday. And there's so many different situations that some favor the offense, some favor the defense. Today, the one they started way back, I believe at their own 25-yard line, trailing by 6 points in this situation, less than 2 minutes to go. As Sean Payton said, that's one that kind of favors the defense, right? And the defense was able to get a stop. The first and second team defenses both came up with stops in that situation. But I think it's more about practicing those moments, being comfortable in those moments. We know how many games come down to the wire, and particularly this year, I would think, if you're going to compete for an AFC West title, you're going to be in these games against the best teams in the league, hopefully. And so you want to be comfortable in these moments. I think, I asked Sean Payton about Bo Nix last year and what he was able to do in those moments, and he said communication's a big part of it. You got to make sure that you're on the same page with everybody, and that when the seconds are ticking down and you got to make sure you're either getting out of bounds or stopping the clock, that everybody knows what they're doing and what they're supposed to do. And he was impressed with the way that Bo Nix handled himself kind of from that standpoint. And he also mentioned there's so many collegiate players now that are used to running that no huddle that it maybe comes a little bit easier to them than quarterbacks from years past. So that was a big focus on this Friday. It'll continue to be, I'm sure. And, last year we saw them go back and forth, right? Yeah. In terms of offense wins one, defense wins one. Today the defense got the better of them, I think. But Sean Payton said you only really get concerned if it's every day of camp the same side of the ball is winning period after period after period. That has not been the case. But, like you mentioned, a good day for the defense on Friday.
Well, it's been a grind this week. Day 7 of training camp. Tomorrow should be exciting because they said they're going to have a very scrimmage-like practice. What excites you the most when you hear that?
Yeah, I think it's just closer to real football, right? And obviously the Broncos are getting closer here to their first preseason game. They'll have a joint practice against the Niners next week. But this is another step in the right direction. And there's going to be, it sounds like from listening to Sean Payton, a lot of situational work, various kind of where you are on the field, move the ball type drills. There's going to be some kicking game stuff involved. And so it feels closer. It replicates kind of what you're looking for this season. And you're right, it's been, 5 days of practice in a row now. This will be the 6th in a row on Saturday, but it does have a little bit of a different feel, breaks it up a little bit. You want to have a good day of practice, and the players get that off day.
Yeah, a lot of the guys have seemed to really love this week. Malcolm Roach spoke about it. He just had the most fun at practice. We heard Adam Troutman say the same thing. So it's really good to see the guys on the same page and not really worrying about anything else but just going out there and competing. Well, it was a fun day, and we have you all covered here with our instant analysis Broncos country. So we appreciate you guys tuning in, and make sure for all the latest headlines, visit DenverBroncos.com.